Hi. So I've got some pretty big news to share. It's pretty huge news actually, and a little bit scary. After almost 13 years, Chibi Chi Designs is going to be no more. Um, it is officially the end of an era. This isn't a break. By the time you watch this, the shop website and Amazon Handmade and eBay shops will be completely empty. This is intentional. It includes everything: my original listings that used to sell well, and even my bestsellers that were still selling well. So, to explain my reasoning, we really need to go back to the beginning. Way back in 2013, Chibi Chi Designs was born at a time in my life when I was going through a very rough patch. We had suffered multiple miscarriages, and there were complex health conditions at play, and things were really bleak. I needed a creative outlet to help me through, and Chibi Chi Designs was it. I loved hearing from people that enjoyed my creative works, and eventually they helped me feel like less of a failure. And I began to come to terms that even though I may not be able to be a mother, I would still be able to create something and make my life meaningful. Luckily, I did achieve my dream of becoming a mummy, and back in 2017, when I returned from maternity leave, I had the dream of making Chibi Chi Designs my full-time creative career, and to have it pay the bills and allow me to have that creative passion and that outlet, but also to be at home and not miss any of the milestones of my beautiful daughter. And for a few years, it really worked. I was coming up with designs that felt unique to me, seemed to resonate with my customers, and I managed to turn Chibi Chi Designs from a small hobby business into something that paid the bills and gave me so much passion and happiness. I really was living the dream. During the 2020 period, I hit the peak in sales, as did most creative businesses. The shops were closed and people were shopping online. I was proudly sponsored in the Cosmo 2020 Christmas gift guide. I have my name in print and I felt so incredibly proud. It really was a hard and tough year, but having this creative outlook and being able to support my family when so many people were struggling around the world gave me something to focus on, and something that I hope helped to inject some lightness and happiness into my customers' lives too. However, things sadly didn't stay that way for long. Like many that had experienced the dizzying highs of online retail in 2020, when things began to return to normal, my sales didn't just go back to where they were pre-pandemic, they actually dropped significantly. And so I panicked. Instead of keeping true to my own design ethos, I started listing things that didn't really resonate, but that I knew or hoped would sell. Before long, my shop was full of items that I really couldn't connect with, that didn't feel like part of the cohesive Chibi Chi Designs brand, and I felt like a huge failure. Each month, my sales seemed to drop, and it didn't matter what I did, I was struggling to pick them back up again. In 2022, I had to make a huge decision, and that was a career pivot. I had gone from using Chibi Chi Designs to pay all of our bills, with the occasional dental nursing day here and there to top up when needed, to having to face returning to a profession that I have known since I was 19. It's in dentistry, but one that I do not really enjoy at all. And it would also take me away from home, from my daughter, and from Mr. Chibi Chi Designs and his complex health issues. I quickly realised that that wasn't going to be possible, and so instead I pivoted to become a virtual assistant. Luckily, all of my years within the online retail space and also managing both dentists and members of staff as a deputy practice manager and as a head dental nurse came in clutch, and it meant that very quickly I managed to secure a position with an agency that I have been with since 2022. Unfortunately, that then meant that I had less time to work on Chibi Chi Designs because I was having to do the work that was going to lead to an actual income rather than just hoping that things would get back on track. All of my shop is actually set up to bulk make items. That is how my shop used to work when I had many sales every day, and it meant that I was earning a good living wage. However, when those sales dropped to just a few a week and not necessarily for the same item, it meant that these processes no longer worked, and in fact I was working for just a few pounds an hour. Definitely way below the UK minimum wage. Since then, the market has changed drastically, with many buyers looking further afield to parts of Asia for their purchases, especially now they are able to have them personalized as well. And for me, that is not a price point that I can or want to compete with. In 2024, I was so incredibly lucky when Paper Cuts reached out to me and asked if I would like to work with them. I had already been a very loyal customer since 2013, so I jumped at the chance. And you know what? That was probably one of the biggest things that has helped me come to this decision. These weekly crafting videos where I get to embrace my creativity and not design or make things just because I hope that they will sell, but instead make them because I enjoy making them, has really helped me reconnect with what is important. And that's when I realised that the Chibi Chi Designs shop, as it stands today, definitely no longer reflects me or the brand that I wanted it to be. And so I've come to the very tough decision to close everything down and to start completely from scratch. I don't quite know at this moment in time what the future of Chibi Chi Designs is going to look like. I do, however, know that it is going to be more illustration based and community based. Something that is unique and personal to me, and something that I can definitely resonate with. I'm going to be sharing my new journey openly, including the messy middle. I want to be completely transparent so you can see what is working and what isn't behind the scenes. Most importantly, my weekly YouTube videos, working with paper cuts on a Friday, are not going anywhere. They have brought me so much joy and helped me to really reconnect with my craft that how could I stop doing them now? I really hope that as we move forward, they are going to help me navigate the future and build a much better brand for myself. And I want you guys to be part of the journey as well. It is really important to me that my audience and community helps to pave the way for Chibi Chi Designs so that we can build something together. With that in mind, I have the biggest question ever that I would really appreciate some input in. Should we keep the name Chibi Chi Designs or should we change it? Comment down below either keep or rename, and perhaps some suggestions that you may have. I really do value your input. So if you want to stick around to see where we're going and what we're going to build together, make sure that you like this video and hit the subscribe button. I'm not sure where we're going to end up, but I do know we're going to have fun along the way. And with that said, I will see you on Friday for our usual crafty video.